What's up, everybody? So I haven't made a video in a while, so I figured I'd put one out there to kind of get ahead of things. So coming up this year, I got a lot planned, but I figured I'd go over all the stuff that's been going on with me. So where I've been, I ended up going to the Caribbean for a while, so I hadn't been doing any work for about a month. We went on a nice cruise, saw some sea turtles, the works. Then with Christmas and the holiday craziness, we went all around and did all sorts of stuff in the meantime. So that's just been kind of a fun end to my year. But now I'm coming back this year and I want to do a lot of work on videos, rockets and everything. So I figured I'd give a heads up on what's coming in the future. So on the side, what I've been working on a lot is new TVC mounts. So I got 3 thrust vector control mounts in the works. One's the older one that I've been flying. The other is the new version, first generation, and then a second generation of the same one. So those are both, I think, higher precision. They're going to add a lot of new features, and they're going to make everything a lot more responsive and kind of bring it up in quality. So both of those just recently got assembled. I'm going to need to hot fire them and test them out to make sure they can handle an engine running. On top of that, they have a few new components to them. They're compliant, so they have TPU printed hinges in them instead of mechanical hinges. They offer better thermal protection, so they have a cork insulation layer integrated into the thrust chamber. And then on top of that, they have a more sturdy servo linkage that allows a lot more positive control of the gimbal. So I think I can get a lot more precision, a lot more accuracy, and a lot more fine movements of the gimbal versus the one that I have now. But I've also upgraded that one a lot too. New material, PET-G for the mount, and then cork on the insulation on the inside of that one too. So I think that one's about as good as it's going to get. On top of that, I've been working on a new flight controller. This new flight controller is going to be way better. It's going to be kind of my production version of my current flight controller and include a lot of the upgrades that I've learned making my first generation flight controller. So this original one uses a Arduino Nano, the Adafruit version, but they're all kind of similar. And it's pretty limited in its performance, speed-wise and ports-wise. So I upgraded from that to a Teensy 3.5, and that's going to get a lot more speed. It's going to add data logging, which I think is going to be super, super helpful. And then on top of that, it's going to add more functionality. So I'll be able to run more TVC mechanisms off of the same controller. Where this, I can barely run 2. The new one will run 3. So that's going to be real fancy coming up here. On the side also, I've been updating a lot of my website. That has all the information on my equipment that I'm using, some background on the different projects, some of the struggles that come with them, and a lot of nice pictures of everything for reference if anyone wants to build something similar or get inspired or whatever. So that'll be in the description below, as well as my other things like my Twitter, which I've been developing a lot and trying to get that up to par. And I created a second Instagram from my personal one where I'm just doing the rocket stuff. And that should kind of round things out and make me kind of have a complete social media presence. So I'm really excited about getting all that ready to go. Up in 2020, I intend to do more videos. So that's a big thing for me there. I've been trying to use some of the Patreon funds to buy things to upgrade my video making capabilities. So the lav mic, for one, is a direct response from the Patreon support. The other thing too is new hardware. So I've been buying servos, a bunch of high-powered spotlights. So these are gonna light up the launch pad because I launch during the evening after I get home from work. And these will help keep the rocket nice and illuminated for the high speed. So these are incredibly bright. They also have a strobe mode if I want to give my rocket an epilepsy. So that'll be really nice to have come launch day. I'm also hoping to hot fire my TVC mechanisms, so there'll be some cool content related to that. A lot of close-up shots of the engine running and the mechanism moving in slow motion, I'm hoping. I also got a new 4K camera, and I have the whole new TVC mechanism for the Falcon 9 will be installed as well, and that'll kind of bring me back around from October of last year, getting me ready to fly again this month, hopefully. In extension to getting the new flight controller, the new TVC mounts, and all the new hardware, I'm going to be having a build-up towards second stage flight, so that'll bring stage 2 online for my Falcon 9, and then I'll be flying a 2-stage rocket from then on, hopefully. The S1C is my test rocket, so that'll fly until I get my code down and I get my control logic down. That way I can kind of build on things and see how the data logging is going to work. So I'm expecting to be flying that until maybe the middle of the year, and then get the upper stage flying shortly thereafter. The other upper stage I have is my EUS upper stage, or Exploration upper stage, that goes on the SLS rocket. And after a successful flight of my SLS core, which I'm intending to do this year too, hopefully by the summer as well, I'll be flying a 2-stage SLS, which has my highest payload capacity ever, basically, of 450 grams to about 100 meters. So it's going to be a beast when it's flying. If that wasn't enough, I'm also trying to take on another project of doing a New Glenn rocket. The New Glenn is going to build on everything else I've already done and add all the functionality that I'm just now implementing into things, but with the intention of having it designed into that rocket. The Falcon has deployable legs and fins, which look really nice, but they make a lot of extra complexity when it comes to deploying them, coding the computer, and making all of that work. So adding some passive stability to it, I think I can get around that. I can get the rocket lighter, I can scrape even more performance out of it, and I can still do the landing. So that one I'm really, really excited for, and I've been doing a lot of work to try and get it ready as well. For SLS, I'm going to be printing out new booster thrust vector mounts. The new mounts are going to be a little more in line with what I've been doing with the compliant mechanisms. So instead of having mechanical like the previous ones, it's going to switch to a TPU rubber. And that TPU rubber I have had a lot of success with. And the mechanical mounts in the SLS booster in the last flight both failed. So I think that'll be a really big game changer for making them more precise and not breaking them. All of that adds up to a lot more videos, a lot more content, and I'm hoping to make at least 8 launches this coming year. I hit 7 last year in total, so if I can hit 8 this coming year, I think that's going to be really, really great. And on top of all that, if I can fly my AA2, I will, but I've kind of left it in the dust at this point, so it's a little outdated at this point, and I'm not sure if I want to chance using a motor on it when I can just have it nice on my desk. Another thing, as a video idea, I wanted to kind of look into maybe, is with the Real World Rocketry series I was kind of hoping to start, and I created one video in already, which you can see on my channel right now on guidance, nav, and control, is something about where I work. So right now I work at the SLS program on the ground support systems, and I think a lot of people are, really getting interested in what Artemis is doing. So if that's something you guys would want to see, I would totally start doing some short form content on what we do there and some of the cool activities that are going on at Kennedy Space Center. There's also always launches and stuff too, so I can always have something cool and short on that too. So I think 2020 is going to be a really, really busy year for me. I'm going to have a lot of stuff hopefully flying, and we're going to make a lot of smoke. So I'm really excited for all this. And as always, be sure to follow along on my Twitter, Instagram, and if you want to support Patreon, all my parts are available through there. So if you want to build any of these rockets or get a direct line to me to be able to ask questions about how to build any of these, I'm an open book, and through there I can get you any of the parts, hardware, software, anything to help build along. So be sure to follow along on any of those platforms and you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing. And I tend to post now almost every day on something that I'm working on, and I always try and keep the ball rolling. So if I'm not making videos, I'm doing other stuff like circuit board design or getting some hardware or coming up with new concepts that I can use. Sometimes they don't go anywhere, but through those outlets you can kind of see where I'm going and then where I end up, and then it's a lot more of the behind the scenes of how these rockets are built and kind of what I do. And then, of course, if there's anything else you guys want to see, let me know, and I can put that into my content creation schedule and get that uploaded. Peace!